Welcome back to Hacking Patina. I'm your host, Sean, and we've got our elbows deep in Dana 25 components. Parts, pieces, old, new. We've got this DJ-3A sitting back here with its front end slapped up here on the table that we got to get put together, get that girl back on all four wheels so we can move it around again. So we've waited on some parts to come in. I think I got a couple extra that I'm waiting on still, but they're on their way, but we can definitely get started. The reason why we've got this tore down like this far into it, because this carrier here, when we looked at one of the first episodes of this project, this ring gear has broken teeth all over it. There. This girl's been ridden hard. She had her own bus stop and she got rode quite a bit. So we're gonna take care of that stuff. That's why we really have this disassembled this much as we dug into it. But we've got some new parts we're putting in here. We had to fix this Bendix joint. We're missing a pin. We've cleaned up most of this stuff. I need to clean up the housing of these axle of that differential tubes. It's full of grease. Mostly we got everything cleaned up. We're going to reuse some parts where we can, and we've got some new stuff where it just made more sense to get some new stuff. But today and right now, the first thing we want to take care of is we've got some new springs to put on it, a new bell crankshaft to go on the bell crank. We got some new steering tie rods we're putting on. We've got some new shocks we're getting on here. So let's jump in here, get this suspension going. Lots to get done. I want to get this girl back on all four wheels so we can move it around as needed. Let's go. New shackle kits with polyurethane bushings into these old pivot joints that are extremely rusted in there and very hard to get out. This was my method. They got some nice polyurethane fittings on there. It'll go in there. These are 7/8 inch outer diameters, and your actual bracket is a 7/8 inner diameter. So the inside bushing is usually pretty easy to get out. It's that outside one that you got to press out of there, but oftentimes is completely rusted in. That's the difficult one. Here was my method that I took care of it with after lots of trial and error. I burn out the middle rubber piece. That just falls out. And then I step drill that outer bushing to a 7/8 inch step drill. So the widest diameter of this is a 7/8 inch, which fits perfectly in there. This first heat cycle will just melt that rubber. You can just burn the rest of that rubber right out of there. Then we're going to use a 7/8 inch to just drill that out of there. Then use a little sanding barrel sander, 7/8 inch. Smooth that out a little bit. I add a little copper anti-seize just so me or a future gent doesn't have this problem anymore. And then your bushing. A little on your brass bushing. Send it. There you go. Polyurethane. Bushing is easy to get in that way. Let's get this front shackle installed. We already put in those new poly bushings. All right, the suspension can expand and contract. Let's do the back greasable bolts. Pivot bolt, greasable bolt installed. This is a Omix ADA 18270.01. Comes with a grease zert and a pin. Hit it with a little grease. Good to go. Oops, probably a little too much, but we're good to go. Let's get this bell crank together now, and then we'll go put it back on the steering portion. This is part of your steering linkage, right? The bell crank. It's got a couple bearings that are going to slide in here, and a couple seals to hold the grease in. A couple grease seals that go on there. This is Crown Automotive J09-20556. Okay. The old one is a bit worn, so we're going to go ahead and just replace it out, right, with the new style. Get this off the table, moved out of the way. Again, I'm going to add a little bit of my copper anti-seize to help get those bearings in there and to help them come out. Maybe in another 75 years, if this thing's still around. There you go. Let's get this mounted up now. So that will go like that. Okay, waiting for a piece, the little boot, to repair this guy, and the steering, the bell crank is in. Let's finally get in and replace this broken up ring gear that we found in one of the early episodes that we said we're gonna have to address this later on. Well, here we are, we're facing it, and we're getting it taken care of. I picked up a used one up in Colorado Springs. It was fairly cheap. Got it home. It's worked out. So these stock CJ3As, which I believe the drivetrain on this DJ3A is, Dana 25, there's two possible factory ratios that are the most common. So there's the standard kind of farm most likely ratio, which is a 538:1. with a tooth count of 43 rings. And there's also a more rare version. It's a highway kind of gear ratio, which is a 427:1 with a tooth count of 47 rings. I happen to have the more common one, thankfully, the 538:1, tooth count of 43 rings, which makes sure that that's what your rear differential is, because you got to have the same rear and front differential ring. They got to be the same, or else obviously you're going to tear one up over the other. Make sure you're matching front and back diffs, the rings, the ratio, and then go from there. So let's get this replaced out. You saw, look at that, I put the old one back on. Can you believe it? The old chewed up one, I put it right back on there. Get out of my way. Right. The old and the replacement, good used. They're both 43, 538, 43.8. So the gear ratio is the same. Exactly what I wanted. Let's get rid of the old one, so I don't accidentally put it back on there. 45. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to hold that. Okay, let me go put it on my other workbench, torque it down. All right, we're all torqued to 45 foot-pounds. This thing is getting ready to go back in. I'm gonna set it aside. Moving on. Get these inner sills put in. We're gonna drive it through with this, coming through this axle. Let's see if we can tap that home. Nice. Inner sills are in.
I'm looking for the markings on the bearing caps. There's a particular marking for each bearing cap that has the same marking on the differential next to it. So you don't get your bearing caps mixed up and you can put them back the same way they came off.
These carrier bolts, they go through the oil. They go through the case, so the case is open. So we're gonna put some ultra black gasket maker on these. Seal up these threads when we send them through. Stop some of that leakage. I think we can go ahead and button up this pumpkin. Parts came in. We can get this outer part of this axle assembled now. We're going to put the knuckles on. We're going to put the bearing caps on. Okay, bottom, top. The top gets the shims. We'll test the shim packs with my cheap little fish weight, and we'll go for about 15, somewhere 15 or 16, 18, 15, 17. I believe somewhere right in there. Here's where we'll pull to see that we got the right amount of tension on these shims. When we put the shims in, bearings are packed. Then we'll insert the axles, maybe get this filled up. It's late tonight. It's way after dark, so I don't know how much longer I'm going to be out here working, but let's get this assembled, see if we can get to the axles and get that filled in with some cornhead grease, a little slurry. Don't forget, these bearing cap bolts are oil facing. They go all the way through. So put some gasket seal on there, and I'm going to run a little gasket seal on top, bottom, and on each one of my shims, just to give it a little spray. I'll probably put my copper spray on the shim pack. It's just not as thick, so I'm not changing the thickness of the shims. Look, I'm not doing science here. I'm not going after absolute perfection. We're getting it a lot better than it was. It's going to be pretty darn close. I'm going to be satisfied with it, and anybody else would be. I guess anybody else would be happy with it. I don't know. I actually don't know that. Maybe I'm sure there's a few that want it to absolute specs. We're revival here, guys. We are revival. Getting this girl back on the road and doing a good job at the same time. Anyway, we're getting it done. If we don't do it, it doesn't get done. All right, let's get into this. All right, the knuckle's done. We put the brake line protector on. It's got it's close to where we need to be for the pull torque on that. I've just stuck the axle in here because I was testing the other side, but the axle is in. So we're going to finish this up. We're going to put on the spindle. We're going to put on the spindle. The backing plate, the bearings are greased, the new seal is in, the new bearings are in for the hub. We're going to seal it with a little sealer just to help it along. We're going to seal all of our nuts or our bolts that hold the backing plate and the spindle on. We're going to torque them down to specs. Okay, we're going to add the nuts and the washers. Okay, 2 nuts, 2 washers. We're going to bend that last washer to hold that nut in place. We're going to torque the axle bolts to 50 psi on that first one, then back it out 1. So we'll torque it to 50 and back it out 1 flat side. So if it's here, we're going to back it out to about here, okay? Just to get a little, so 50 torque pounds on that. I've got my knuckle lube ready. Okay, I made my own slurry for my knuckle lube. If anybody can tell what that green stuff is, that is corn head. So I'm using corn head with a little GL4 mixed in with it, just to make it a little more runny. Then we're going to have this assembled all the way out to the bearings and the hubs. And then we'll come back through and we'll put on the lockers. Then go put it install. I'm going to go get my helper from inside, and then we're going to load it up onto the DJ there. Get this wrapped up. I'll be happy to be done with this axle. It was a pain in the neck with all the 2 different axles, the different bushings. The bushings were trashed on here, these brass bushings. I had to get all that new stuff taken care of, so I'm happy to move on from that. So let's dig in and have at it. Remember to seal these bolts that hold your spindle and your backing plate on. They are open. They are oil open. They will leak. Seals in, bearings are lubed. I'm gonna put a little bit more grease inside there. It's gonna fill up that cavity a little bit. I'm gonna put a little, I like to put the copper anti-seize on some of these threads just to help a fella out. The flat washer goes in the groove. The first nut, torque it to 50 psi and then back it off one flat edge. All right, 50, back it off, one flat edge. So a sixth of a turn. And you'll be pretty much dialed up at that point with your bearing load, your wheel bearing load. $50. Back it up a sixth. Put our second washer on. This is the one we'll bend over the last nut so it doesn't come loose. So you can see it was previously bended. I'm just reusing the hardware here. And again, this one's going to go to 50 as well. But we don't need to back this one up. Just leave it at 50. We got one little surprise left that this girl's going to get. Some new locking hubs. Bling bling going on her. Right? That's cool. It is going to look like this. Pretty sharp. But I'm not going to put this on. I'm not going to put the locking hub on until I get this on to the vehicle so I can torque them. I'm going to go get some helpers from the house, drag them out here, and we're going to carry this over to the Jeep and we're going to go mount it up onto the leaf springs. Top this knuckle off with the slurry. And it's right there. Touch of sealant. Good to go. I got my trusty assistant, Lauren, here. She's gonna help me wrangle that axle onto the leaf springs because I already attached the leaf springs. So let's go ahead and do the job. I don't know. Never done it before. No. All right. I'm going to disconnect the leaf spring. All right, let's lay it on there. Lift. Lift it up. There you go.
Lift your side, Daddy.
And over. Ooh. Okay. And over. Okay. And over. See if we can't get it on there. On the hole. I'm on mine. Are you on yours? For now. I can get a little hectic from time to time. Ready?
Yep.
I'm in. Nice. Thank you, honey. That's it. All right, I'm going to mount up the U-bolts, put the shocks on, put the U-bolts on, finish that up. I'm going to do the steering probably tomorrow. It's getting late. It's Sunday. I'm going to go in with the family. Let's get that tidied up and call it a night. And she's fighting till the end. We're going to take off the rollers, the little 15-inch rollers, and put on these Ranger ATR Thunderers. These are 215/85 16s. They're a 10-ply. Probably not going to be that happy with them because they got a thick wall, kind of a hard wall, but we'll drop some air pressure out of it. We're not rock climbing this little lady. Just doing some simple off-roads with her. So let's get these on there. Well, welcome to another day. This morning, there's no breeze. Opportunity and get this DJ-3A fiberglass top painted. Kind of the vision that I had for this a little while ago. The sun's out. It's February, but it's kind of warming up. The wind's gonna kick up a little later today, so I need to really get this done. We're gonna be painting this today with some Speedokote, little 2K bed liner. I've used this product before, not the bed liner product, but I used this product before on frames. I seem to work out pretty well for me. It sprays on nice, and you know, this is just a DIY job. You can see I'm just out here in the wild doing it, getting it done. No, I don't have a booth. So we got to take the opportunity when there's no wind to get this done. First thing I'm going to be doing on this is I got to knock off some of the moss. It's actually the moss that you see on the mountain rocks, right? Same thing kind of grew on this. It's flaking fiberglass. It's in good shape, but it has been worn. You know, it's showing its age for sure. So we're just going to take this. We're going to put some truck bed liner on this. see how it goes. Let's get this knocked out before the wind picks up here around noon. See if we can't get this back in the garage. I don't know, it's got, shit, 5,000 little bolts that you gotta take off this thing to get it off, but they snapped off, they were rusted tight, and they just snapped right off. So, let's go ahead, get this done. Okay, an update. We've got the top prepped. Got it kind of wiped down with the green pad scrub. Make sure you guys are wearing proper ventilation, respiratory protection, clothing, gloves. You do not want the little pieces of fiberglass getting up into your respiratory system. This is critical. This is the most important part. Protect your skin. It'll get all over everything, okay? It was blowing all over. Protect, safety first. Always safety first. So we're gonna mix this up. I already have my 8-ounce line for my activator. Takes 8 ounces per 1 bottle of the bed liner. And it came with this little economy air gun, undercoating air gun. We're going to use this. So this is going to go right into the bottle. 80 pounds PSI is what it calls for. So let's go ahead and get it mixed up. As soon as I get started, I've got to go. Well, we got it sprayed up with the truck bed liner. It looked great from 10 feet away. You get up close, there's a few little things. You know, it's close to 70 years old, this fiberglass top. So it had a little roughness in it. We've got a little bit of the fiberglass that was still loose on there that I'll probably just knock down a little bit. It's not a big deal. We know what car is going on. It's going on that DJ-3A Jeep. But hey, for not that much money, we got this top finished up. It's not going to fall apart anymore. That fiber isn't going to come loose. Yeah, I probably could have put a fiberglass resin on there and put a bunch of time into this and coated it with some resin first, but honestly, it didn't need that. Not for this project. So, I'll knock down a few of these rough spots where that fiberglass is kind of haired up. You know, it's got the little fiberglass hair. The other side is painted with some Rust-Oleum enamel paint, oil-based. I think it's going to look a lot better than it was. So we're going to finish, let this cure up. We had a great day to get this done today. I'm going to head back into the garage, do some work inside there, then we'll just drop this back on top, see how it looks. Sure, we're going to find out Aaron, you go to the other way and get that other corner. Good job. Lay it down. We'll have to see if it lines up with the holes.
It's not looking like it.
I've got a hole here.
I mean, I have a hole here, but it's not.
Okay, we gotta spin it the other way. Ready? Up, and we'll just walk around.
You're gonna have to hold because I can't reach.
Aaron, walk to the back. Lauren, you walk to the other front. Aaron, you get the back now. Okay. Straighten it up, Aaron. Okay, and down. That looks better. Yes?
Yeah, that seems better. That's the right way.
All right, thanks for your help, guys. Appreciate it. I'll temporarily snug this down. Let's get a hood latch on here, just so this thing isn't flopping around. I'm gonna try this little Smitty built hood catches. I don't know, never used them before. But the price was right. Looks like the Rugged Ridge ones. It's probably the same people making the same stuff. It's all the same. It's all the same, one little shop making it all. They're a little long, but we'll fix that as just temporary fix for now. I'm not gonna run to the store to go get fresh ones. I've been there twice already today. Been to the store twice. The work doesn't get done. You just keep running back and forth to the store. Woohoo! Well, let's fire this girl up. See if we can't get out of the garage. Mechanically underneath, she's just about done. Just got to attach those front brakes. Just not ready to do it yet. Little choke. Fires right up. Still got a little bit of brake to at least hold us back. Let's go scoot. choke off. All right, there you have it. We got the front end done. We took it for a scooter. Let's make a couple notes on what we still need to do to get this thing roadworthy so we can go around a few blocks. You know, we probably put 2 miles on it today. We'll take that, but it's still not good. So let's address what we know we need to finish up on for next week. Front brakes. I just need to connect them up. The wheels are done. I need to adjust the drums, the pads and the drums, but the wheels are, the lines are on the wheels. Just need to run it to the master cylinder. Shouldn't take too long. The exhaust. I can't keep driving this around and just getting all the fumes all up in here. Let's take care of that exhaust. The hard thing about the exhaust is I just can't go out and buy a 3A, 2A, 3A exhaust kit and run it out because we got the tank in the back. So I can't run it and put the muffler, you know, perpendicular to the frame and run it out on the passenger side in the rear. It has to go out straight out the back and out the driver's side. There's no kits out there for this, so I gotta be a little creative on that exhaust, on what to do. If you guys got something that I can just go buy and stick it on there, man, I'd love it. But I know the muffler I want to go, and the muffler goes right underneath my tail end. So it's not going to be in the back, it's going to be right underneath the driver's seat, tucked in the frame right there. So that's how the DJs are. Front brakes, exhaust. I need to get the electricals hooked up. I need to be able to tell my temperature, I don't know if I need my speed, but let's get the speedo hooked up. Electricals. Okay. Maybe get some lights on here. Maybe get some tail lights and some brake lights, okay? So gauges, front, rear. What else? Man, if I can get that taken care of, front brakes, that exhaust, and some electricals, we can go for another nice little scoot and really test this thing out. Maybe get it off on the trail, easy trail a little bit. That's it, guys. We're gonna try to address most of this by next week. I got some in-laws coming into town. It's gonna be a little busy of a week, but make sure you guys, if you're sitting there watching this on TV, grab that remote, hit the subscribe button. I know it takes a little extra time than if you're on your computer watching it, but do me a favor, hit that subscribe. It sure does help. It keeps these stories like this and projects like this alive and moving forward. We'll talk to you later. We'll talk next week. Appreciate you guys that have subscribed and those who are watching. Get out there, get your projects done.